All right. Okay. Looks like the stream is doing well. All right. Looks like the stream is doing well. I'm gonna jump right into it. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth and sincerity. Citation to the hopeful, let that spirit at the four corners of the earth. All right, so the title of this stream, this live lesson would be Faith, Faith, and More Faith is Required. Faith, Faith, and more faith is required. Right, and I'm going to start off with um, first. I want to say, when we're in this truth, um, when we're in this truth, we are going to go through tribulations. There's no doubt about that. Um, and we're gonna be, talked bad about. Um, we're gonna be speaking well of. We're gonna be called all types of names, but we have to have the faith and the courage and the integrity to keep pushing. Right, right, because it's written that the judgment is going to start with the teachers and the believer who know the truth, right? Who teach the truth, right? So you have to have that faith to keep pushing, right? All right, bear with me. All right, so I'm gonna jump into some scriptures here. And I hope that live lesson, I'm not having any trouble. I'm gonna jump into some scriptures, and I'm gonna start with um, I'm gonna start in the book of the Second Maccabees, and here is just the book in the second Maccabees, the seventh chapter is I'm going to get in that chapter, but here in Maccabees, um, it goes into how King and Tiz during the time of the Israelite during the time of the Maccabees and King in the Antiochus, um, they were being the Israelites were being forced not to follow the laws and the statutes and the commandments of YAHAWASHI. So they were being forced, to worship worship. They were being forced into idolatry, you know, and they were just being, forced to worship like the customs of the heathen, right? And I got here, Second Maccabees, the sixth chapter, verse 1. It reads, "Not long after this, the king, who was the king Antiochus, sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of Yahweh. All right. So, you know, and I'm gonna go I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the second Maccabees, the seventh chapter, and I'm gonna read a little chunk of this. I'm gonna read from the from the first verse all the way down to the 20th verse, like you a little bit excited. So in the first verse it reads, "It came to pass also that seven brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine flesh, and were tormented with scourges and whips." Right. Um, Swine flesh wasn't, you know, Israelites could not eat swine flesh. It was in the law that is, we couldn't eat swine flesh. Right. And they were they were tormented, you know, they were tormented, to not they were they were being threatened, they would not eat that swine flesh, and then they're gonna be whipped, being put to death. Um, and we're gonna and that and that um, as I read through the whole through the whole verse all the way down to the 20th verse, Lord will, I want you to take 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 some take some from it, and how they reacted to those threats, and how they reacted to you know the threat of them being put to death, and how we're going to need that amount more how we're going to need that amount of faith in this time now, especially with the MLTB being right around the corner, World War III being around the corner, having famine being right around the corner. you know, we're gonna need that amount of faith, in today's, you know. And I'm gonna read the second verse. But one of them that spake first said, "Thus, what is thou asking, or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers." Right? Yeah, you have to be ready to die, because dying really just your flesh going back into the earth, and your spirit returning back to the Most High. So when you die, you're really not dead. It's just your flesh body is dead. Right? I'm gonna continue reading. Then the king, being enraged, commanded pans and cauldron to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first. So the king commanded, you know, the first son tongue to be cut out, and to cut off the utmost part of his body. The rest of his brother and his mother looked on. Continue reading. Now, when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the pain. Right. And as the vapor of the pain was for a good space dispersed, thou exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, "The Lord power looketh upon us, and in truth has comfort in us, as Moses and his son, which witness to their faith, declared, saying, and he shall be comfort in his servants." Right. So when the first was dead, after this manner, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. So basically, um, you know, um, they were trying to, they were trying to, you know, how the Israelites, right? They're trying to have them. They're trying to, if so basically if they convince the first son to eat the swine flesh, then they will assume that the other son will follow suit. But when that didn't happen, that they killed the first son. Now they're trying to persuade the second son to eat the swine flesh for the other son. For the other son, and the people of Israel can follow suit. But we're gonna see what happened. Do he hold his faith, or do he fall into the temptations? Um, so when the first, I'm gonna read for the beginning. So when the first was dead after this manner, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock, right? And when they had put off the skin of his head with the hairy, they asked him, "Wilt thou eat it before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body?" Right. So they threatened the second son to eat the swine flesh, but if he don't, he can be tormented, whipped, you know, you know, until he basically die. Right. But he answered, 8 verse. But he answered in his own language and said, "No." Right. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order as the former did. Right. So he was being tormented and he was being wept. 9 verse. And when he was at the last gasp, of his breath, he said, "Thou like a fury, takest us out of this present life, but the King of the world shall rise us up, who had died for his laws unto everlasting life." Right. You know, so the second one has faith, that he was going to be, risen up, right, and he's gonna have everlasting life. 10th verse. After him was the third made a mocking stock, right? So they just keep going down the line to one of the brothers, conceive you know and to eat the swine flesh. But we're gonna keep reading. We're gonna see did all of these sons have their faith, kept their faith, and have their faith unto death, or did one of them conceive and ate the swine flesh, or did even the mother conceive and ate the swine flesh? But we're gonna keep reading. The 10th verse. After him was the third made a mocking stock, and when he was required, he put out his tongue in that right soon, holding forth his hands manfully. 11th verse. And said courageously, "These I had from heaven, and for his laws I despise them, and for him I hope to receive them again." 12th verse. And so much that the king and they that were with him marvel at the young man's courage, for that he nothing regarding the pains. 13th verse. Now when this man was dead also, they tormented to mangle the fort in like manner. Right. So for now we know that the first, second, and the third son kept their faith, and their courage, and their the spirit of faith, unto death. So 14th verse, we're gonna read about the fourth son. So when he was ready to die, he said, "Thus it is good being put to death by men, to look he for hope from Yahawah to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life." Right. 15th verse. Afterward, they brought the filth also and mangled him. So here's the fifth son. So we know the fourth son kept his faith, right, that he will be risen up and have everlasting life. So now we're going to read about the fifth son, the 16th verse. Then looked he unto the king and said, "Thou hast power over man, thou art corruptible, thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think ye not that our nation is forsaken of Yahawah?" 17th verse. But abide a while, and behold his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed. Right. 18th verse. After him also they brought the six who been ready to die, said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our power, therefore marvelous things are done unto us. All right, 19 verse. But think ye not that thou takest in hand to strive against Yahawah, that thou shalt escape unpunished. 20 verse. But the mother was marvelous above all and worthy of honorable memory, for when she saw her seven sons slain within the space of one day, she buried with a good courage because of the hope that she had in the Lord, YAHAWASHI. Right. So, all of those brothers, they were faithful unto death, right? And that's how we have to be, the teachers, the prophets, you know, you have to be faithful unto death, to receive that uncorruptible crown. Right. Um, Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life, right? So that's what we are striving for. That's the light at the end of the tunnel, right? The crown of life. And we go to that word faithful. Pistache, which means, to believe, trustworthy, sure, true. You have all the different meanings. One who kept his plighted faith, right? The promise. One who kept his promise, faith, right? So you get it. To have your faith, you have to be, you have to spiritually have your faith right. You know, right? And we're gonna keep, bring out some more scriptures. Because and more faith is required always in the truth. More faith is required. Ephesians 6, chapter verse 16. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye should be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, right? So, if you get tormented in your mind, you know, you get tormented in your mind, you know, maybe some people might rise up against you, start saying, terrible things about you, and start speaking well of you. You have to have that. You have to keep your faith, right? Your faith have to be more powerful than the words that are coming out of their mouth. Psalms chapter 23, verse 4. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff that comfort me, right? So, when we're in this world, when we're in the world, especially if you're in America, you're always walking through the valley of shadow of death. This place is full of, wicked sin, full of sin, full of wickedness, and you have to have the, word, you have to have the, scriptures always in your head, you have to quote scriptures in your head, um, you know, you have to keep praying, right? You have to keep praying, keep praying, keep praying, you know, and you have to ask for the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit, the Kakadash will comfort you in your time of trouble, right? But you always have to have faith. Faith is going to, faith is going to get you through those dark times, whatever you're going through. Faith only faith can do that. You know, the only thing that can get you through your dark times, you know, through your uncomfortable times, when you've been, tempted, is faith. Faith can do that. Only faith can do that. So you have to keep your faith, right? You have to keep your faith. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in Yahawah BAHASHAM Yahushua with all thy heart and lean not unto thy understanding, right? So you have to trust in Yahweh Shah, which you're going to, you have to have faith in Yahweh Shah that, he will get you out of any, situation you're going through, out of any trouble you're going through. You cannot lean unto your own understanding, right? Because you lean unto your own understanding, um, it's not going to, you know, especially we're in the flesh body, we all we need to understand we're not going to be thinking spiritually. We're going to be thinking more cardinal, which is going to lead to a whole another, chaos. You're going to make what you're going through even worse, right? There is written that, your thoughts are not my thoughts, neither your ways are my ways, right? Um, I want to get that out. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8. And it reads, and it reads, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says Yahweh. I shot right. So, you have to trust that you have to trust in Yahweh Shah that he will get you out of that, get you out of your trouble, um, out of your you know, because at the end of the day, Yahweh Shah puts you through those trouble for a reason, to make you more stronger, right? To test you. So, really, you're supposed to be rejoicing in your afflictions. I'm pretty sure there's a verse about that too. Here you go. Colossians chapter 1, verse 24. We now rejoice in my suffering for you and filled up that which is behind of the affliction of Hamashiach in my flesh for his body's sake, which is the church. Right. So, rejoice in your suffering is because you are going, ultimately, you're going through that to test, your faith and to test if you're going to call them to Yahweh Bashim Shah, right? But, because again, it's written that, what son is who I don't put, through, who I don't trouble, or who, that I don't test. What son is of me who that I don't test? Roughly paraphrasing. All right, we're gonna keep bringing out some more scriptures. Habakkuk 2, chapter 2, verse 4. Behold, His soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith, right? So, Esau, Edom, wicked E, his soul is, his soul is unjust, right? He's wicked, from he was created to be wicked. He was created to, do all manner of wickedness, right? But the just, who are the Israelites, will live by faith, especially, the teachers, the unbelievers, the follower of the land wherever he goes, right? We will live by faith, right? We will live by faith. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him, right? So you have to have faith, that you have to have faith that, the true name of, the Most High is Yahweh, right? And that his son name is YAHAWASHI. But you ultimately have to have faith, um, especially when you're, again, like I said, especially when you're going through your afflictions, when you're going through your trouble times. You have to have that faith. Um, I don't, there's one that mustard about having faith more than mustard seed, or your faith has to be stronger than mustard, mustard seed. Matthew chapter 17, verse 20. And Yahweh said unto him, I think I'm going to read. Uh, I think I'm going to read from the 14th verse. Matthew chapter 17, verse 14. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him, saying, continue reading the 50th verse. Yahweh have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and sore vexed. For all time he falls into the fire and all into the water. Right, so they had this lady. She had a son that was, lunatic. He was crazy, he was going crazy. Right, he was being vexed by demons. Continue reading the 16th verse. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Right, so you know when when the son were brought to the disciples, they couldn't cure him. They couldn't set the demon free. But again, going to the 17th verse, then Yahweh answered and said, "Oh, faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you?" And that was a question. How long shall I suffer you? That was another question. Bring him hither to me. All right. 18th verse, and Yahweh shall rebuke the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. You know, because the devils, the demons, they tremble, but devils just mean adversary. They tremble at the presence of Yahweh Shah, um, in the name of Yahweh Shah, right? 19th verse. Then came to the disciples to Yahweh Shah apart and said, "Why could not we cast him out?" Right? Because the lady, she brought the son to the disciples. The disciples were trying to rebuke the demon. Um, and to curse the Son, but when they were doing it, they couldn't successfully rebuke the demon right out of the boy. And we're gonna see what Yahushua said about that. 20th verse. And Yahushua said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder places, and they shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Right. So when we have that faith of grain of mustard seed, we'll be able to tell mountains, parabolic speaking, we will be able to tell mountains, to move, and it will move right. We'll be able to cast out demons, right, and heal, sick people. But it take faith in order to do this. But as well, we're gonna read down to the 21st verse. How about this kind goes out but by prayer and fasting, right? But also, by prayer and fasting, there, certain demons might be plaguing your mind, but in order to, successfully, get rid of those demons, you have to pray and you have to fast. That's the only way, right? That's the only way to, um, that's the only way of, um, you know, praying, fasting, having faith is the only way, to solve your problems, basically. Um, Especially, when we're in this, truth, you have to have faith, and more faith is always required. It will always, always, always be required, until the day you die. Um, you have to have that faith, right? But I don't think I want to bring out any more scriptures. Um, think I think you guys get the point. Akim, and you Aqua. I think you get the point. You know, I'm going to end here. I hope this live lesson was edifying. Um, I hope you got something from it. But I want to give all honor and glory and praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakadash. And until the next time, Shalom.